Kyiv Russia's key offensive brigade as Russia closes in on Pokrovsk. As Russian forces bear down on the crucial logistics hub of Pokrovsk in eastern Ukraine, Kyiv is scrambling to shore up defenses by redeploying one of its elite offensive units. The Karadag Brigade, a 20-strong force typically stationed in southern Ukraine, has been urgently shifted to reinforce the crumbling eastern front. This high-stakes gambit underscores the critical situation unfolding around Pokrovsk, a vital cog in Ukraine's supply chain that has become the latest focal point in Russia's grinding Donbas offensive. Ukraine braces for the battle for Pokrovsk. For a long time, the situation in Donbas was aptly described as difficult, but controlled, wrote Roman Ponomarenko, an officer of the 12th Special Purpose Brigade. However, now it is out of control. Currently, it looks like our front in Donbas has collapsed. This stark assessment paints a grim picture of Ukraine's precarious position as Russian forces close in on Pokrovsk. The city, with its strategic railroad junctions, forms the backbone of Ukrainian defense supply lines stretching from Vuhledar to northern Donetsk. Its potential fall would deal a severe blow to Ukraine's ability to sustain operations across the eastern front. Ukrainian defender Katerina Polishchuk, known by the call sign Tashka or Birdie, offered a blunt appraisal of the situation. In the Pokrovsk sector, it's a full as ass. No exaggeration. While everyone is cheering about Kursk, Pokrovsk has a few weeks left. Kyiv's paramilitary force turned army brigade now in east. The deployment of the Karadag Brigade to Pokrovsk highlights Ukraine's desperate scramble to plug gaps in its overstretched defenses. This unit, forged in the crucible of conflict since 2014, exemplifies the evolution of Ukraine's National Guard from a primarily paramilitary force to one that now operates more like a conventional army brigade. Equipped with heavy weaponry, including T-64 tanks, the Karadag Brigade brings much-needed firepower to the beleaguered Pokrovsk front. However, its redeployment from the south raises questions about Ukraine's ability to maintain pressure on Russian forces across multiple fronts. Where are Ukraine's other army brigades? As the situation around Pokrovsk deteriorates, military observers are questioning why Ukraine isn't committing more of its reserves to the fight. Russian commentator Evgeny Norin noted that while some Ukrainian units are engaged in the Kursk region offensive, others remain held back in reserve. This allocation of resources presents a high-stakes dilemma for Ukrainian military planners. The decision to prioritize the northern offensive in Kursk while potentially risking the collapse of eastern supply lines represents a gamble that could shape the course of the war. Adding to the complexity, Ukraine is in the process of standing up entirely new mechanized brigades. These 160 series units, reportedly training in countries like Poland, aim to draw recruits from the large pool of Ukrainian men living abroad. However, it could be months before these fresh formations are ready for combat, leaving Ukraine to fight with the forces currently at its disposal. Fall of Pokrovsk precursor to full occupation of Donetsk, the loss of Pokrovsk would reverberate far beyond the immediate battle space. Gustav Gressel, a Berlin-based military expert, warns that Russian capture of the city could be a precursor to a complete Russian occupation of the Donetsk region. Ukrainian Army Commander Oleksandr Syrskyi painted a dire picture of the situation, reporting that military intelligence estimates the Kremlin plans to concentrate 50,000 to 60,000 troops for its Donbas offensive. He also revealed that roughly 1 in every 3 combat engagements along the entire Russo-Ukrainian war front is now taking place in the Pokrovsk sector. The fall of Pokrovsk would open multiple avenues for further Russian advances. Colonel Markus Reisner, an Austrian military historian, outlined the potential consequences. They could attack southward against the left flank of the Ukrainian forces between Pokrovsk and Vuhledar in southern Donetsk Oblast, where Russia has recently also begun to make gains. Alternatively, Russia could try to push northeast to Kramatorsk, the other major logistics hub in Donetsk Oblast. Russia could also try to attack westward into Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. As the battle for Pokrovsk hangs in the balance, Ukraine faces difficult choices in how to allocate its limited resources. The Kursk offensive, while yielding some territorial gains, has not yet achieved its strategic objective of forcing a significant redeployment of Russian forces away from the Donbas. General Syrskyi acknowledged this reality, stating that while the Kursk operation has diverted a significant number of its forces, with around 30,000 Russian servicemen sent to that front, Moscow is simultaneously strengthening its force on the Pokrovsk front. The coming weeks will likely prove decisive in determining whether Ukraine can stabilize its defenses around Pokrovsk or if Russia will achieve a breakthrough that could reshape the contours of the conflict. As one evacuating resident of Pokrovsk grimly noted while boarding a train westward, "We have friends there, but will look for our own accommodation." For many in eastern Ukraine, the war's next chapter remains clouded in uncertainty. Subscribe for more.